That's the one he's
Yeah.
This is the Roundtable Talk podcast, brought to you in part by Rayford Guns, the Hoke County edition of the North State Journal, the Libra Initiative of North Carolina, and our flagship station, WCLN Christian 105.7. And now here are your hosts, Ruben Castellon and Chris Holland.
All right. Welcome to the Roundtable Talk podcast. This is episode 164. Can you believe that?
163. We just talked about it. 163.
Correction,
I'm
163.
Keeping this thing
And we
straight.
were just talking about it. Welcome to episode 163. I'm Ruben Castellon.
And Chris Holland.
All right. So would you want to go first or?
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
All right,
So, this is kind of the moving towards the end of summer. We know that campaign season, candidates are really going to start getting hot. People are returning from vacation. People are going back to school. So people have more time, basically, to start paying attention to politics, not distracted by the beaches and the mountains and whatever. So right now we have 7 candidates filed so far for school board, the school board position. There's 3 positions open this coming election. Of those 7 candidates, we have Gary Brigman. He's the former athletic director. Retired from Hoke County High. John Harry, Christopher Leach, Darren McNeil, Roosevelt McPherson, Gwendolyn Robinson, and George Small. George Small was the former Hoke
coach
football team.
Yeah,
the head coach of the football team. All right, and remember that filing is open until August 3rd, so there's still a chance for people to get in, and this list could expand prior to that. But some of the races that are coming up, or all of the races that are coming up in November, we have the Hoke County Sheriff, Sheriff Roderick Virgil. He's unopposed. There's nobody running against him. The Hoke County Clerk of Superior Court, Miss Evelyn McLeod.
unopposed too.
Nobody's running against her. Then we have the North Carolina House of Representatives, District 48. We have Garland Pierce, which is the incumbent. He's the Democrat. And the candidate opposing him is Dr. Ralph Carter. On the Republican side, North Carolina State Senate District 24. We have current incumbent Senator Danny Britt, Jr., Republican, with an opponent candidate, Katina Ham. She's out of Robeson County, from my understanding.
That's not the same one that ran the last time.
It's not. No, she was like Kathy.
Okay, because it sounds familiar.
Yeah. They're very similar names, but they're not the same people. Then we have the U.S. House of Representatives. Our congressman is just for District 9. We have Representative Richard Hudson, the Republican, and the candidate that's running against him is Richard Ojeda. He's out of Southern Pines. North Carolina Superior Court Judge, District 29, Seat 1. We have Judge Michael Stone. He's running unopposed. He's a current judge. North Carolina District Court Judge, District 29, Seat 1. Now, see, this is different. You got Superior Court. Now we're down at District Court, District 29, Seat number 1, currently occupied by Judge Tron Falk Ross. She's a Democrat that was appointed by, I think, Stein actually appointed her when there was a vacancy in that seat. We have candidate Kimberly Davis coming out of Moore County. She's a Republican. North Carolina District Court Judge, District 29, Seat 2. Judge Beth Tanner. She's running unopposed. North Carolina District Court Judge, North Carolina District Court Judge, Seat 5 is Johan Namkung. He's the Republican. He's the current judge. And then you have James Allen, and I think he's local here to Hoke County, and he's the Democrat that's running. And I think the Seat 5 is the one that several years back was a drug deal during
a drug deal?
It was during the budget debates, and they needed Garland Pierce to vote for the budget. And so some of the stipulation was we're going to designate one seat in the district court lineup as a Hoke County specific seat. The judge had to come from Hoke County. They got that. They got Garland's vote, and we got the budget passed. That's how
drug deals get done.
That's how it works, right? Remember that Hoke County is going to have 2 early voting locations. It's going to be at the same place at downtown at the the county building, as well as at the Rockfish Community Building. And the early voting period starts October 15th and runs through October 31st. So there will be no Sunday voting this time, and the last Saturday of the early voting period will be, I think it's 8 to 3, whatever it is. So there'll be a Saturday and then no Sundays. But it's hard, or I mean, politics run 24/7. It seems like,
Yeah.
you know, it never stops, especially when we're dealing at this level. But in September is when, so less than 70 days from now, absentee ballots start going out.
Mm.
You know, so these candidates that are hoping to win their race, you know, definitely need to get on the ball. Need to like put the pedal to the metal and start doing something to get their name out there, to get their platform out there, and to rally the vote. You know, historically in midterms, turnout is low anyway.
Yeah.
You know, the primaries this time around across the state were a little higher than a normal presidential year election. However, you can't depend on that in the general election, you know, and so it's incumbent upon the candidates to motivate the voters, and as well as the voters themselves. Is, you know, if you want to see a change in whatever particular office, then you need to get out and vote for that.
Well, let me add. I remember one name, obviously, because she's one of my colleagues. But the latest local newspaper, which I'll give credit to the Rayford Journal. I remember seeing Angela Sutherland, one of the incumbents, has also filed, and there was another name. Neil, I think that's what it was.
McNeil?
I don't think it was McNeil. I think it was Neil. I could be wrong, but
there's a Darren McNeil.
Okay, that might be it. But anyways, I know that Angela Sutherland, two of the incumbents, Catherine Blue and Angela Sutherland, they have filed. That's based on the last newspaper.
Oh, yeah.
I
You know
got.
what? I did miss those names at the top. Yeah, Catherine and Angela both did.
Yeah, so they also file. I suspect that there's going to be a few more people that are going to file because we got a week and a half.
August 3rd. So,
So we got about a week and a half. And so it's going to be very interesting. But I just got to say this, okay? I can't say that I'm excited on what I see right now.
As far as its choice of candidates, or
the choice of candidates, and the fact that those that have already filed, they have filed for a while for other positions. Where are they at? It's like goes. I mean, how do you ever expect to be elected when you're not busting yourself to you know? And I got to tell you this, it was very unfortunate because it was really hard for me when we ran in and you didn't get in, because I know how much work you put in, because we put just the same amount of, I mean, we didn't have a life for
Right.
I think like we started 9 months before we filed. We didn't have a life, and but we wanted it that bad, and you missed it by a little mark. And initially I thought that I didn't get in until somebody told me to refresh your browser, and that's what I was also at the top. But you know, we set the standard to have a chance here in Hoke County to get in, and if you're not following that standard that we set,
Right.
because people know what we did,
yeah,
you're not going to get in.
yeah. Unfortunately, you know, having a Republican, you know, tagline, being affiliated with the Republican Party is already a mark against you here in Hoke
Yeah.
County. You know, because there's just that attitude is still here. It's a deep blue county, you know, and there's the whole perception of the Republicans that,
Yeah.
you know, people carry to the polls with them.
Yeah.
So you already start with that. So that you have to get out, let people know who you are, interact with the voters, let them know what you stand for and what you're about, and then motivate those people to turn out for you. Because if you don't, you know, you just can't waltz into a race and expect, oh, Republican.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen because, when we ran for election back in 2022, we have 4,300, 4,500 Republicans that did not vote.
It was a couple thousand, yeah.
That means that the people that carried me was some Republicans, a whole bunch of unaffiliated, and probably also a lot of Democrats.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you what we did different was that we went knocking on doors, because I remember we were in downtown Rayford, and we met several Democrat people that are affiliated to the Democratic Party, and said, I have never had a Democrat come here, and they would tell us, we are voting for you. Whether they did it or not, that's not here or there. But that's how critical it is for you to start campaigning early, not just filing. And this thought process about, well, this is my 5th time I ran, I'm getting closer. It's never going to happen.
Right.
It's never going to happen.
No, not dumb luck. You can't just stumble into it. You actually have to put forth the work and the effort. And talking about that, the last 2 Supreme Court judge elections here in North Carolina have been decided by less than 1,000 votes.
Yeah.
Right? So those Republican candidates that get that one extra voter out to the poll helps those judges statewide. And that's one of the messages the NCGOP is putting out is like, look, you're talking about 2 votes per county. There's 100 counties, right? And so 2 to 4 votes will decide the Supreme Court election this time around. So, that's one of those things where everybody supports each other. If you come out to vote for me, you're probably going to look at the other Republicans on the ticket and go, yeah, well, whether you know them or not, and that's the way it's going to work. So that's incumbent upon, if you want to support the party, if you support, what's been going on for the last 12 years in the legislature, then, and in the judicial system. I mean, the Supreme Court of North Carolina has overturned some really dumb laws that were part of, enacted by a Democrat legislature. And they fought against, the voter ID.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that, 2018?
I mean, we started a while back, and then it kept going back and down, and finally it settled. That's the end of that. But yeah, to me, it's very disappointing that that you have candidates, and I'm talking about both sides. But I unfortunately, and this is just a fact with any incumbent, if you're already incumbent and you have an okay record,
right,
you have an up.
Yeah, you already got a head start.
You have a record. You're established.
And apply that here in North Carolina or here in Hoke County, I about 6 years ago, we started out about 2.1 Democrats to Republicans. Now we're up over 8,000 registered Republicans now, so now we're down to like 1.7.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So like I tell everybody, if we have 100% show up, 100% show up, and they have 51% show up, they still beat us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is that high of a hill? Now that's not to discourage anybody, because each individual as a candidate can appeal to the voters and get those votes. But you have to realize that's the field that we're playing on. And you have to adjust your campaign. You have to adjust your engagement with the voters with that in mind. That, for every Republican or every Democrat that comes out, I have to get 2 people to vote for me.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. You have to engage.
Right.
Simply filing, and when it's time to put the yard signs around, that is never, ever going to get you in.
Right.
It's just not going to get you in.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I see this, and to me, it's a waste of time. I suspect that some people file to run just to say, I filed. Look at me. It's like a look at me moment. But most people don't even have a message why they're running. But prime example, when I ran, I forget what it was, but it was the biggest list that of people that have ever ran. I think it was 12, 15 people that ran. It's pretty large.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we're going again. It's going to be a very, I suspect that there's a tactic to this. I think that some of these people are probably being encouraged and they don't really want to do it. Some people have probably hidden motives. I mean, I don't know. Right. The good thing about it is that, bad and good, is that, the school board, the school doesn't have the power of the purse. It's the county commissioners.
Right.
So board members are very limited what they can do. I'm talking about individuals, but it's a board, it's different. But it just, to me, is very surprising that, like I said, I don't want to beat this horse to death, but we're going to keep doing this until this is over.
Right.
Yeah, because this is probably going to be just the topic. But I got to tell you, if you're going to vote, which I hope you do, and this is a general statement for Republicans, Democrats, and unaffiliated, a.k.a. independents. Don't vote just on the name. You need to vote on what the person stands on. Okay, if you have an individual that's running just a name, that is one person that will never have my vote.
Right.
Because I want to know, because you need, the individual does not have a message, then you cannot hold it. If that individual gets into the position, you cannot hold that individual accountable because the individual didn't have a message.
They didn't tell you what they were going to do, so how do you figure out
why are you going to have me accountable for this? Because I never said I was going to do that.
Right, right.
So, and it's unfortunately, both the Republicans and the Democrats, many people vote straight.
By the names.
By the name. But they don't really do their work. And vote specifically on their values.
Right, and so you're aware that the way the ballot is, the name on the ballots are done by a random draw, and then it's the next closest. So they'll draw a letter out of a hat, and then the next closest after that, say Adams.
Yep.
Adams would be first, and then it's alphabetical order from there. So there is some benefit to being at the top of the ballot,
of course,
top of the list, right?
Of course,
because it's like, oh, well, I don't know that person, but I've seen it. People like, I don't know who I voted for. I just checked the guy at the top.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. So let's just say we end up with a total of, for argument's sake, let's just say we end up with a total of 10 people for the school board. And let's just say that this is an example. I'm not saying this person is, in fact, going to be at the top, but I'm just going to make the name Joe Smack. Joe Smack is the one at the top.
Right.
Okay. And because I have actually talked to people, they actually do that. Oh, select 3. They just go at the top.
1, 2,
Boom,
3.
2, 3, done. Okay, so that person also has an advantage. So if you're an incumbent and you're at the top, you got two good things against you right there. But you still got to do more work. But it's just, to me, again, it's very discouraging. I just hope that the people, it's become the school board elected officials lately, because of COVID, has become a very hot topic. And more people are running to be involved, and hopefully
for the right reasons.
For the right reasons, But here's another thing that it makes me wonder, why people didn't run, because I didn't know until I got in. When I first got in, my first check that I received for being a public official was like $200-some. I think that's what it was. $200, $300. It was very low.
Right.
Okay, and I was really surprised when I got it. I was like, well, at least I'm getting gas money. And then a standard $200 for transportation, the gas. And so I said, oh, okay. I'm not doing this for free after all. And then now the county commissioners, which, I really appreciate it. Because people make an assumption that the individual board members don't do work. You got committees, you got all this and all that, extra events that you have to go to, and it's very time consuming. So the county commissioners gave us a pay raise from I forget, whatever it was. Let's say it was like $300 to $1,300. Okay, and I appreciate it. Because I'll tell you this right now, I kept mileage of how, I put so many miles on my truck that I did not want to.
Right.
And then when the gas prices went up, I was like, I'm so thankful that I'm getting these $200 a month for gas purposes, And now there's an incentive now for other people. They might just need a supplemental income. Yeah. Because if you think about it, the $200 plus the after taxes, $1,200, you're talking about close to $1,500 a month. If you're living off of Social Security, that's a good supplement.
It would be.
And I'm not saying that people are doing it for that.
Right.
But I'm saying it.
Well, in nonpartisan races particularly, there's also, we were talking about people running and, what they're running for. Sometimes this big list, people that are the favored will ask other people to run too, because that dilutes the vote, right?
Yeah, of course.
Dilutes it all. And it's like, okay, well, all I need is 1,200 votes, so if there's 10 people. So anyway, what I wanted to talk about is, I'm sure a lot of the people watching have seen Richard Ojeda. He's a candidate running against Richard Hudson. He's retired military, and the dude's I knew him in the service. And
so you personally know him?
I personally know him.
So you can speak for his character.
I served with him for
several
times.
Proceed.
But no, back then he was sane. He was sane. And I would have.
So what are you saying?
I would have bet that he was a Republican. However, he ran on the coattails of Trump in 2016 in West Virginia for a state Senate seat. He was a Democrat. Okay. He was a Democrat. However, he embraced Trump's economic policies, Trump's, free trade, all the policies. He's like, I'm a Trump supporter, jumped on the train, got elected to the Senate. Well, then after the Senate, he's like, well, heck, I'm going to run for president. So in 2018 or 20, whatever it was, he threw his name in the hat for president. Didn't go very far.
Okay.
So then he tried to go back and run for the Senate again in West Virginia.
He lost it.
He got his butt kicked. I mean, literally, physically.
Well, how was he running as?
Democrat.
Okay.
But now he's an anti-Trump Democrat.
Oh.
So now he's like, yeah, screw Trump. He's a fascist, blah, 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 all that crazy stuff. And so, I mean, literally, he was out at a campaign event and somebody met him in the parking lot and beat him down, put him in the hospital. That type of, this is West Virginia. So, long story short, he migrated to North Carolina, set up shop in Southern Pines, and now he's running as Democrat challenger to Richard Hudson. I believe personally that the guy suffered brain damage. I think he has a TBI. It has to be that type of a character flaw that I've known him.
Tell the audience what's TBI, because people not going to know.
Traumatic brain injury. Yeah. I think, because like I said, I knew him. It was 2010, 11 when we were deployed to Afghanistan, and I ran into him then. We weren't in the same unit at that time, but I talked with him a couple hours while we were waiting on a flight, and I mean, same old guy I knew, and then
sane.
Yeah, sane. And here we are 15 years later, 20 years later. Oh man, time flies. But yeah, and now the guy has just flipped his lid. I mean, he's talking about Civil War. He's talking about Republicans are all racist, fascist, this, reparations. I mean, just free, everything.
Free. There we go. Free.
And he's lost his mind. However, all that to say, and I don't know, have you heard about Act Blue?
Yes,
Act Blue?
Yes.
So the Republicans have WinRed, which is like an online donation. It's a bundler, right? They take all the donations and they parse out money to political candidates and committees or whatever. Well, Act Blue is the Democrat version of that. Act Blue is under investigation for foreign donations, stuff like this, right? Well, Richard Ojeda has received $748,465 from Act Blue for the primary election.
Wow.
Here in 2026.
That's almost $1 million.
Almost $1 million. He doesn't have much left, but
wow.
He did. But so I went, started looking around. I'm just data nerd. I started looking around, and the majority of his donations, I think out of 13,000 plus donations, he has about 2,000 that are actually from North Carolina.
And the rest are
And the rest are from California, Massachusetts, New York, Ohio. I mean, just across the country. And so anyway, back to the Act Blue, they're under investigation of using fictitious donors, and the accusation is they're laundering money.
Of course.
You know, whether it's illegal contributions from big corporations,
that's
whether
exactly
it's
what
overseas
it is.
or whatever, they use these people, their name and identity, to like make small donations. Well, so there's a report that I read talking about Act Blue. They tracked down this woman. Her name's Elizabeth Waffle. She's 88 years old and lives up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, out in the boondocks, in a trailer.
Probably don't even have internet.
Surprisingly enough, she doesn't. But her house burnt down a couple of years ago. She now lives in a travel trailer, no internet, spotty cell phone, yada, 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 that type of stuff. Says that she moved into the trailer 2 years ago after her house burns down. She owns an old pickup truck with no computer. Nevertheless, Waffle, who lives on a modest pension, is a true believer in liberal causes and continues to make small political donations by way of Act Blue. So that part is true. She says, hey, I have made some donations in the past.
But was she...
Well, let me get to that. I have made some donations in the past, right? Somehow, though, those few dozen small donations she's made over the past 5 years have transformed into 14,696 donations, totaling more than $150,000. So this woman who lives in Upper Peninsula with no computer, no internet, in a travel trailer because her house burnt down, has over the last 5 years donated $150,000 to Act Blue.
Some serious fraud stuff going on.
Yeah, so
RICO case right there.
This is the equivalent of 8 donations a day, every day for the past 5 years, averaging $9.18. So she donated $19 or $9.18 every day.
Every day
for the last or 8 times a day for the last 5 years. So this is the woman. She says 150,000. She says that with real surprise. Hell no, I don't have that kind of money. She says she has contributed Abdul Al-Sayed, the Democrat socialist running for Michigan's U.S. Senate seat, but not 47 times spanning the last 2 years, as the federal filings show. So it's showing, Act Blue showing that she's donated 47 times to this guy in this running.
And they're probably getting the money from abroad and tagging these people with it.
Yeah, so that's what it is. They're accused of rinsing foreign money and massive private donations.
And that's just one person.
That's one person. So the Act Blue CEO had to go to Congress recently, and she invoked the Fifth Amendment 22 times. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it also shows her donating from her apartment, her rent, because you have to put down addresses when you make a donation. She rented that from 2 years ago. She lived there 2 years ago after her house burnt down. It's still showing as an address that she's donating from. And then sometimes she's donating from the trailer and the apartment on the same day.
That's crazy.
And then it says it also shows her donating to out-of-state candidates she's never even heard of. So I went to the Act Blue site, just kind of check out what it was. And yes, Ojeda does have, and I'm going to call somebody because I don't know exactly what I was reading, but there's, I think I counted 17 donations of $80,000, $80,624 and like 64 cents or something like that. And basically, those 18 were all on the same day, and then you go and flip through the pages, and then there'll be like 4 more, same amount. They're all the exact same amount, the same day, and it's just like, I don't know the legalities of that. I know here in North Carolina.
Well, it's under investigation.
Yeah,
so
well,
we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
How long it takes the federal government to investigate
it better get
anything.
done before the next election.
It's not going to.
All
right. But yeah, so the guy, like I said, the guy is out there. He's bought into the wacky part of the left-wing party, and he's also benefiting from this, what's alleged illegal campaign contributions. So I got some announcements on August 20th. This is kind of in the future, but you're going to hear some more about it. August 20th, We're going to have a local candidate meet and greet at the Rayford Community Center from 6:30 to 8:30. State Auditor Dave Bullock is scheduled right now to be our keynote speaker. Hopefully, some of the stuff that's being looked into here in Hoke County will be out by then. People can come and talk to him, and as well as meet the local candidates. And then August 27th, same time, 6:30 to 8:30 at the Rayford Community Center, we're going to have a judicial candidate meet and greet. It's all the judicial candidates. Typically, the Supreme Court slate, there's 4 of them. They'll send down some people. Superior Court. So we'll have some out-of-town judges or candidates for judges that'll be there, as well as Johan and Kim.
What day is that again?
That's going to be on the 27th. And then Richard Hudson will be at that one as well.
Okay.
So you can come meet the congressman on the 27th.
All right. So you got anything else?
That's all I have.
All right. So one announcement I have is that, for full support, the high school project is almost done. We have a ribbon cutting on 6 August at 10 a.m. It's open to the public. It's a beautiful building. That's all I can say about it.
You're going to serve cookies?
We're working on some things to try to get something that is very appealing for 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. And the last thing I want to put out is the Second Amendment. Those of you that are supporters of the Second Amendment, which is part of the Constitution, is the fact that the Third Circuit struck down the New Jersey ban on the AR-15 and the 20-round magazine. And then there's another circuit somewhere. I forget what it is. It might have been 7. It might have been the 5th. I don't remember. But they had the opposite outcome. But the good news is that there's already 2 cases slotted for to the Supreme Court. And the way it is right now, I suspect everybody's very excited that it's finally going to make it. I suspect because the AR-15 is a common use rifle. For those of you that are illiterate in the arms, that is not an assault weapon. That is a rifle. And so we're excited. I suspect that the Supreme Court is going to favor the weapon itself because in the true definition of the Second Amendment is the right to bear arms, and the government is not going to infringe that right on us. Is that this is how it is? Just a simple thing. It's not necessary to defend ourselves against the bad guy. It's to defend ourselves against a tyrant government because they didn't want Britain to come back again. So that's the true meaning of it. Of course, you have the right to defend yourself as a second at a second level, but the primary reason of the Second Amendment is to defend ourselves from a tyrant government. As you've seen lately, under Obama, and look at under Biden. Biden was forcing our armed forces, soldiers, airmen, and Navy and Marines to take the shot.
Yeah.
And they had weapons.
And they had weapons. They were locked up.
So probably sometime next year, we're going to finally put to rest this. I'm very confident that I think that we're going to prevail on this matter and move on to other things. So we'll see. There was another case where the Supreme Court, I think it was a Supreme Court, or it might have been a district, a circuit also. They have finally categorized a suppressor, aka a silencer. It's actually a suppressor that is actually also a weapon. It's not a accessory. So when it means that if it's a weapon, it is now a Second Amendment right. It's no longer an accessory.
I know they've been fighting that one for years.
That's a good thing too.
Yeah. I mean, you don't no longer have to pay the stamp tax, but you still have to register that.
Yeah.
And talking about that, North Carolina's pretty free, with the Second Amendment.
I think North Carolina's a pretty reasonable Second Amendment.
Yeah. And with that said, I think it's SB 50, which is constitutional carry.
Yep.
Is still, it came out of committee, but it hasn't been brought to the floor yet. And that was last year. Who was that? was it Tim Berger or Phil Berger?
Yeah.
He said that, the get rid of the pistol purchase, that was enough for 1 year. We're going to do it again next year. And it still hasn't come to fruition.
The Constitution says nothing about the right to drive a motor vehicle. And when we have a driver's license, my rights to drive cross state does not change.
Right.
But the U.S. Constitution, the Second Amendment, specifically says I have the right to bear arms. But yet, I can't cross state lines, without really knowing what's the law over there, because I can get in trouble. I mean, think about it. Think how crazy that is. Anyways, that's all I have for that as far as the Second Amendment. I'm excited for next year.
Yeah, those two cases before the Supreme Court will be held this fall, and then
sometime next year we'll know.
In the springtime next year we'll know what the adjudication.
You got anything else?
That's it.
All right, go ahead and appreciate you watching us. Go ahead and click the like button, comment if you want to. If you have anything, reach us out, and we'd like to talk about topics, basically our community, as that affects our community. But we talk about the state and nationally also. Follow us also on our YouTube channel. We need all the help we can get there so we can grow our base right there too. Until next time, I'm Ruben Castellon.
And stay dry, Chris Holland.
Getting to the facts across the state, around the world, and at home in Rayford, North Carolina. The Roundtable Talk podcast. Brought to you in part by Rayford Guns, the Hoke County edition of the North State Journal, the Libre Initiative of North Carolina, and our flagship station, WCLN Christian 105.7. Be sure to like, share, and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. The Roundtable Talk podcast.